coming up next. She's a cannabis executive that loves to show how being a cannabis executive, being a mother, and loves how to flaunt an executive lifestyle. That's right. It is the Manndie Tingler.
Good Monday morning to you guys. Today's article is kind of gross and kind of sad.
A trigger warning.
Yes, absolutely. The headline reads, "Man claims cannabis addiction leads to child porn conviction." In Washington, D.C., this comes out of Washington, D.C., a California man caught in a cross-country undercover child porn sting has been sentenced to over 11 years in prison after asking the court to consider that a cannabis addiction could have caused his offense. As a part of his plea, Jacob Doctor, 28 years old, of Taft, California, admitted that in May 2020, on an internet chat room dedicated to child pornography, he sent multiple pieces of child porn to an undercover agent, which he had apparently produced himself. FBI agents immediately subpoenaed Kik, the messaging app Doctor was using, and uncovered his address. That same day, agents raided Doctor's home, seizing a phone that contained the images which Doctor had attempted to delete. Agents also identified one of the rooms in Doctor's house as the background for the images Doctor sent to the undercover agent. Doctor's victim was a 2-year-old at the time of the offense. When it came time for Doctor to be sentenced, prosecution presented wildly divergent views of his defenses. The prosecution called for him to be sentenced to 15 years in prison, writing the offender not only distributed child sex abuse material, but he in fact created such material. A sentence of 180 months incarceration reflects the severity of the defendant's offense. Doctor, on the other hand, requested a sentence of just 5 years, writing that he was, quote, "a good man who did a horrible thing." In a letter handwritten on prison stationery, Doctor told his own version of the story, claiming that the terrible situation got started when an acquaintance invited him to a threesome. A third party he wrote. Then he asked if he was into CP, although he blocked that person and wrote some part of him was interested, so he sought out the forum where he was eventually caught. That he was thankful he was caught by an undercover officer and that the images would not actually be circulated amongst other offenders. "I wish that I could go back and undo what I've done, but I know that I can't," he wrote. His sentencing memorandum also offered an alternative explanation for his behavior: cannabis addiction. Doctor was evaluated by a clinical psychologist, Dr. Allison Schechter, let's look her up, who diagnosed him with cannabis use disorder, noting that he had used marijuana daily since he was 16. His cannabis use disorder contributed significantly to his lack of ambition and motivation to obtain and keep his employment consistent, which led to him being home all day with no meaningful routine or structure, she wrote. The components were likely a significant contributor to Mr. Doctor having too much time on his hands, which led him to turning to the internet for stimulation, which eventually led to his offense. She went on to write that it was likely a, quote, "significant contributor to his offense," and Doctor, who also wrote the harsh conditions he faced at Central Virginia Regional Jail, including effectively being confined to his cell, merit a more lenient sentence. The judge ultimately leaned into 7 years in prison. Guys, I don't know about you, but cannabis gets blamed for so much. This one, I'm rolling my eyes in a massive way too. And I'm just wondering what you guys think this kind of story has an impact on lawmakers out there in the world right now. This is Manndie for Hide 9.